Okay, you guys all know me. I always try to give the WWE the benefit of the doubt. If this was supposed to be a standard Raw, it failed on almost every level. If this was supposed to be a go-home show for Battleground and a 3-hour preview for the draft, it hit the nail right on the head. So, depends what you're looking for, I guess. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your July 18th Raw review, with your Battleground Go Home Raw review, with your Draft Eve Raw review. This is the last Raw that is going to be, you know, the whole roster. It's kind of a big deal. We've got a title match coming up later tonight. We'll get to that later. We knew going into this, I didn't watch the pre-show, but social media was abuzz, as it usually is, that they were going to kick off the show with the announcement of the both commissioners announcing both of their general managers. You know, bosses all over the damn place, and Triple H is still the COO, and Vince still runs the whole fucking thing. So there's 6 bosses, really. 7 if you want to throw in William Regal. So there's going to be bosses all over the place. Steph comes out, Shane comes out, Steph mocks Shane for pandering, Shane responds to that by pandering some more. They make a lot of awkward genital, they make way too many, these two, and throw in Vince sometimes, they make way too many sex jokes, genital jokes, anatomy jokes for family members. It's a thing, talking about the lady balls and all that sort of thing. But, you know, to set the tone off right, to set her show apart from Shane's, Stephanie basically blurts out the announcement that due to the popularity of the Cruiserweight Classic, which is funny because there's only been 1 episode so far, go back and check out my review, that there's going to be a Cruiserweight division, which means there's going to be a Cruiserweight champion, which is fucking great for me, because you guys know I like Cruiserweights. You guys know my big heartfelt spiel that I did on the CWC review last week. You guys know that have seen me do the Great Cruiserweight Debate videos the past, like, fucking 3 years or whatever I did them. This, for me, is the best news of the night. I know some people are going to disagree with me in a second, but this is the best news of the night for me. I love this, because I said, you're going to have a champion on each show, you're going to have a secondary champion on each show, US and Intercontinental, but there has to be something on each show that sets it apart. Now, the Cruiserweights are on Raw. Women are eligible for both rosters, and tag teams are eligible for both rosters. I was hoping, kind of, and people disagree with me on this one, that if they were going to put the Cruiserweights on one show, that they would put the women's division on the other show, because that would be a showcase. That would mean, potentially, that people that are tuning in to watch that brand are watching because they know women's wrestling is awesome. People might be hating Stephanie, hating her GM, who we're going to talk about in a second, but tuning in because they know Cruiserweights are going to be awesome. And it is, because tag team wrestling and heavyweight wrestling and mid-card weight wrestling is all male heavyweight athletes. You want Cruiserweights, you're going to go to one show. You want women's wrestling specifically, which is another thing that I have a big passion for, is on this channel. As you know, check out the thumbnails that I use for my fucking videos. I'm trying to put the Divas Revolution / Women's Evolution out there as much as I can. They're not going to do either one of those, apparently, but what is going to set Raw apart is that they're going to have the Cruiserweight division. They're going to have one extra title on their show, which does make sense, because they do have an extra hour to fill. A lot of people were saying we're going to get an hour of NXT on Raw. That would be really dumb, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of NXT, you guys know this, but take an hour of the Raw, in the Raw crowd, in the Raw setting, and try to do a proper episode of NXT, and it's just going to lose everything that makes it NXT. So I'm glad they didn't do that. She then makes the big announcement of the Raw GM. Now, I love the Smarks, because they knew going into this. They knew going into this who both of the general managers would be, and they were right on one of them. We'll get there in a second. Everybody was cocksure of themselves. Triple H hasn't been seen forever. He's, you know, it's a layup. It's going to be Stephanie's husband. It's going to be the authority. Nothing's going to change. Raw's going to be so bullshit. I bet they weren't expecting Mick Foley to come out as the Raw general manager. He came out. He got a pop. It's really surprising and really sort of off-putting, because you got Foley, who nobody's going to boo, and Stephanie, who nobody's going to cheer, and they're working together And throughout the night, Foley tries to justify why he took the offer from Stephanie McMahon, and none of it really works. They tried to cut his promos in such a way that he seemed a little devious in some ways, but it doesn't work because he's got the big fucking Santa Claus beard and the flannel, and, you know, flannel equals somebody else that we're going to talk about in a second, and therefore flannel is for baby faces. But he comes out, he gets the cheap pop, he compares the new era to the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, says that him being involved in the newly branded Monday Night Raw will be a 5-alarm fire, and he said, now, like before, I was one of the nails in WCW's coffin, and now I'll be the nail in SmackDown's coffin. And Shane, sitting there with the big Shane McMahon smirk on his face that I fucking love. It's good. Says, you know, who could I get that can identify with the people? Who could I get that would get a bigger, more popular reaction than even Mick Foley? And yes, the worst kept secret in wrestling history, Daniel Bryan is the general manager of SmackDown. Says he won't shake Stephanie's hand. He said he didn't know whether he was ever going to come back because he loved wrestling too much and he didn't know that he could be this close to the ring ever again. Which is really funny because he's doing commentary for the Cruiserweight Classic, but whatever. I'm here because I like Shane's ideas, and I'm here because SmackDown is the underdog brand, and then he compares it to his bullshit WrestleMania win from a couple years ago, which kind of made me go, wah, wah. Steph congratulates Shane on appointing a B-plus player to general manage a B-plus show. Shane reminds Stephanie that she had to marry Triple H to stay relevant in the wrestling business. And that's how we end the segment. It's funny because if it was anybody else, I would say it was really corny and bullshit, but the sibling rivalry between Shane and Stephanie, even at its corniest, still works on some level. And you've got two fan favorites in Mick Foley and Daniel Bryan. So you've got one fully babyface management team and one that's going to be sort of a conflict. Because people were saying Stephanie's going to hire a face GM and Shane's going to hire a heel GM, so there's going to be constant battle. But you can't, the story of constant battle you can't have on both shows. On one show, have a GM and a commissioner that disagree. On the other show, have a GM and a commissioner that are on the same page. That feel alone, that little tiny difference between the two shows, again, we'll set them apart and we'll make it great. Jericho and Owens versus Cesaro and Zayn is our first match. Now, these guys have fought a million times, and I will say, while all four of these guys are great, the match was pretty by the numbers, and this is going to go on basically throughout the night, as the general vibe of this show was very by the numbers, very 3-hour preview for tomorrow's draft, very we're just going through the motions getting to tomorrow. But Cesaro and Jericho start the match with a collar and elbow tie up and a front slam by Cesaro, gut wrench by Cesaro, chops by Jericho, and they trade punches in the corner. Jabs and chops by Zayn, a side headlock and a takedown by Jericho, rolling arm drags by Zayn, and an armbar, working the arm, it's all fucking good, dumps Jericho on the outside. Distraction by Owens and a knockdown by Jericho. Neckbreaker over the knee by Owens, which is, a lot of people are doing moves over the knee right now. We're going to talk about AJ Styles later in the night in that car wreck of a match, and he does the Death Valley Driver over the knee, which I fucking love. It's a little different thing, and it's good. Anyways, coming back from commercial break, boot by Jericho to Zayn, headbutt, and some chops. Cheap shot by Owens. Jericho and Zayn trade punches on the outside. Jericho tosses Zayn out, and Zayn and Owens brawl on the outside for reasons. Zayn tosses Owens into the rail. Outside, Zayn clotheslines Jericho, and there's a lot of uppercuts by Cesaro because that's what he does. Springboard corkscrew uppercut by Cesaro. Enziguri by Jericho. Zayn and Owens trade punches like they don't even care that there's actually a match happening, which is kind of funny. Corner close. You got to feel for Cesaro and Jericho in this match because, yeah, Jericho has his highlight reel this Sunday with Randy Orton, but Cesaro ain't doing shit. So what's he building towards other than I'm in a match on Raw and I want to win, which is important, but Owens and Zayn is the story here. They just threw two other guys with them to make it a tag match so that it wasn't the same match we're going to see on Sunday. Crossbody on Jericho by Cesaro. Cesaro swing on Jericho. Owens and Zayn brawl. Some more. Top rope tornado DDT from Zayn to Owens, and Zayn basically comes off of that, turns around, rolls up Jericho for a literally out of nowhere, like an RKO victory for the babyface team. Very, very anticlimactic finish because he whips off. The focus is on Owens and Zayn. Now, you don't want one of them to pin the other going into the match. You want it to be something else. You want Jericho to pin Cesaro or something that doesn't indicate what we're going to get on Sunday. But literally, Zayn hits this wicked top rope tornado DDT on Owens, which is fucking good. Look at the size of the guy he's doing it to. Plants him like a fucking tree. Turns around, oh, there's Jericho, roll up, pin. Very, very anticlimactic to what was a decent match. I said it wasn't very exciting. We've seen these guys fight a lot. We kind of know what to expect, and we kind of know even what some of the sequences are going to look like, which gets tiring. But the match doesn't change the fact that the match was good. It deserved a better finish. Like I say, even if there was a bullshit, Jericho low blows Cesaro, that would have been better. I don't know. Set up a Jericho-Cesaro feud in the future. Why the fuck not? In the back, we see Golden Truth, Swagger, and Titus O'Neil kissing Daniel Bryan's ass backstage. Stephanie in the back mocking Daniel Bryan and comparing him to a Chucky doll, which is nice. Alberto Del Rio versus Darren Young with Miz on commentary. Oh, Jesus Christ. I am really trying to give Darren Young a chance. I really am. I don't have to put up with Titus O'Neil in the other title picture anymore, who didn't deserve to be there. Darren Young doesn't deserve to be here, but they're making him look like a fluke, so I can deal with that. But it's Alberto Del Rio versus Darren Young with Miz on commentary. Alberto Del Rio doesn't have a match on Sunday, so I go into this match with Alberto Del Rio, who's legitimately awesome, and it's like, he's good a job to Darren Young, isn't he? But it's short, sweet, kind of quick, kind of painless. Collar and elbow tie-up and boots by Alberto Del Rio. Young eats the post. Immediately, armbar by Alberto Del Rio. Clothesline by Alberto Del Rio. A bunch of messy something. Some messy punches and a clothesline by Young and an atomic drop, which looked so Wrestling 101 that it was almost comical. Miz tries to distract Young, ends up distracting Alberto Del Rio instead, and Darren Young does a fucked up looking rollover pin thing and gets a win. Over another guy he does not deserve to get a win against. Like he's going to... Okay, here's a little preview of the live video that Kristen and Guapo and I are going to do tomorrow night. We're going to preview Battleground. I predict that Darren Young is going to beat another guy that he doesn't deserve to beat in The Miz and get another title that he doesn't deserve in the form of the Intercontinental Championship, and I'm just gonna... I'm just gonna go over there for a little bit and cool off. Shane and Daniel Bryan talk to Big Show in the back. Now, we have a 16-man tag team match, which is fine until you hear that it's John Cena, Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy, and the New Day versus the Wyatts and the Club. I made a joke on Twitter that these entrances were going to be long because there were so many participants in the match, especially when some of them, like John Cena, get individual entrances. Cena comes out and plugs the draft and plugs Battleground because he's their advertising spiel, whatever. Enzo and Cass come out and they do their thing for a while. Enzo gets to go a little closer to the PG line than a lot of other people do on the mic, which is kind of interesting. Watching John Cena's reactions to Enzo Amore's jokes was cool, but then they do this whole thing where John Cena cuts him off and accuses him of just spitting out random punchlines and not making very much sense. The irony is dripping off the screen. And then he says he doesn't get the how you doing thing. Whatever. So Cena's talking, Enzo and Cass are talking. The Club come out, which is fucked up because not all of one team has come out yet, and they do some talking. And the New Day come out and they do some talking. New Day try to explain Enzo and Cass's talking shtick to John Cena. It's very comical. And Xavier Woods goes on a big, long, nerdy spiel about Pokemon. I could give my thoughts on the Pokemon Go phenomenon, but there's not enough profanity in the language that I am fluent in to do so. So, lots of talking. Bray Wyatt, one of the best talkers in the company, is the only one in this whole fucking segment that doesn't say a word. Now, I will tell you, from the minute John Cena's music hit to the minute that everybody was finally in the ring and we went to commercial break indicating that the match was about to start, 15 minutes and 25 seconds of entrances. I'm just saying, John Cena can be funny at times. I like Enzo and Cass. I like the New Day. The club don't have to talk. Throwing them all in one match. This was a segment. This was everybody just coming to the ring for a match, and this was a whole segment. But then we've got the match. Oh, yes. And for that, we flip the page. Like I say, all those entrances, we go to commercial break. We come back, Cena and Rowan are the ones fighting in the ring to start Tackle by Cena. The match started during the commercial break, because we want to get the promos in. Fuck watching the match. Gotta see the promos. Fuck the match. The match can happen during the commercial. Remember the match a couple years ago where they actually started, like, once or twice, they actually did the finishes during the commercial break? Remember how popular that was? Anyways. Tackle by Cena. Gallows knocks down Cena when he tries to attack him. Belly to belly by Big E. Clothesline by Strowman. Enzo tags himself in because he wants to face off against Strowman, which goes about as good as you expect. Knockdown by Strowman. Back into the corner. Cass and Strowman face off. Do you remember when Braun Strowman was an unstoppable force? Cass, who is much smaller than him, just handles him. Strowman, they face off in like that Battle of the Giants moment. Strowman turns to Cena on the apron. Pie faces him right off the apron, which is kind of funny, which causes a 12-person brawl momentarily, and everybody separates back out. Cass and Strowman trade punches and a boot by Cass. This is what I mean. You couldn't knock this guy down with John Cena, with Randy Orton, with big names like that. Cass, one big boot, got him knocked right down. Can't read my own writing. Kingston tries for a crossbody and it's caught by Strowman, who hits a running power slam, which is funny because the size of Strowman, he looks like he loses his balance because he doesn't look like he's carrying anything when he does this thing. This is not a shot at Kofi Kingston, don't get me wrong, but in comparison, you know, it's like I'm carrying my bag of chips to the TV with this fucker. Next commercial break. Oh yes. Come back from the commercial break and there's a gutbuster by Bray Wyatt on Kofi Kingston and a pendulum kick by Kofi, shoulder attacks by Cena, clothesline by Wyatt, headbutt by Strowman, mudhole by Rowan. Rowan rides a headlock and he eventually turns the headlock into that two-fisted vice thing that looks really dumb that we all hate. Dropkick and mounted punches by AJ, Death Valley driver over the knee. Like I said earlier, really, really disgusting looking move. Anderson and Styles double team for a while. Leg lariat by Anderson, which you don't expect because you expect jumping stuff and leg lariat stuff and springboard stuff to come from AJ, but Anderson's pretty good too. Shower of elbow drops by Gallows. Kind of Dolph Ziggler style, but from a much bigger man. We go to another commercial break. Wyatt rides a sleeper on Cena and misses the running senton. Multiple shoulder tackles and a slam and an Empire elbow by Cass. Strowman floors Cass. Finally, Big E dumps Strowman out of the ring with some help from the rest of the New Day. Head scissor by Kofi, Uranagi by Bray Wyatt, dropkick by Woods, boot by Cass, boot by Gallows, attitude adjustment by Cena, spinebuster by Anderson, facebuster by Enzo. New Day and the Wyatts brawl up the ramp and say fuck this to sort of leave their thing hanging. What we have left in the ring is Enzo, Cass, Cena, and the club. Enzo misses AJ Styles, accidentally clotheslines John Cena. Enzo Amore eats a Styles clash, and that's how the club and the Wyatts get the win. This was a car crash, but it wasn't as much of a car crash as I expected it to be, so I will give all 12 men, 13 if you include the referee, because I wouldn't want to be the referee. I give all 13 guys in this match a little bit of credit because it wasn't as fucked up as I thought it was going to be. How about that? The bit in the beginning, though, I had to set a timer. I was going to do it as a joke. Be like, I can't believe these guys talked for a whole 5 minutes. It's almost 16 minutes. Stephen McFoley talked to Apollo Crews in the back. Seth Rollins does a cool thing. Seth Rollins records a thing earlier in the day in the empty arena. He's doing a speech. He's doing the whole thing that they always do when members of the Shield are fighting, basically running down the history of the Shield and and you know, we dominated together and then I dominated all of them separately. But he's doing it as he's walking down the stairs through the crowd, and he's mimicking the way that he and the Shield used to come down the ramp together through the crowd, and he was always using them. Dean Ambrose was there to take the beatings, Roman Reigns was there to give him out, and they were his pawns, and rah. But every night they came down the stairs, he thought of pushing them down the stairs, and then he just metaphorically did it later on instead. It was a good promo. I didn't write, you guys know me, I don't write, when there's big long talking things like this, I try to get some of the points, but I don't I don't write down every single word anymore, because that's just how it... But it was very Shield-esque, and it was very cool, and the whole there's times when a promo with no audience, with just the dead quiet behind it, make it more effective, and this is one of those times. Rollins is not the best by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Rollins is very underrated as far as a promo guy, as far as a mic guy, etc. So this was kind of a cool, kind of a different thing for him to do. We see Dean Ambrose's answer to this later on in the night. Breezango are trying to teach Mick Foley how to dance in the back. Shane questions Foley on how he could possibly ever work with his sister. And they get into a little friendly, competitive banter and build the tension, build the tension, build the tension. Baron Corbin versus Sin Cara. And this is where they choose to tell us what I was going to do a video on, but I just didn't get the time. And that's that, much like I said in my draft rules video, the Lucha Dragons are decidedly not a team anymore. They are seeing themselves as individuals. They will still respect each other. They always see themselves as brothers, rah, but they are no longer a tag team. Baron Corbin versus Sin Cara. Collar and elbow tie-up in a shoving match and a mudhole stomp by Corbin. Kicks by Sin Cara, an enziguri and a suicide dive. Corbin shrugs it all off because that's what he does. Hits the end of days and gets the win. Beats down Sin Cara after the match. Kalisto comes in, tries to make the save, beats for him as well. So these guys are branching off as individual competitors, so we squash them under the thumb of Baron Corbin, and you reinforce that they're not a team anymore by making the announcement and having one of them save the other one right away. A lot of mixed messages in a very, very short segment, so I don't know if this was the best. WWE took about a minute to promote the release of Batman vs. Superman on Blu-ray. I don't dislike it. I'm going to pick up the extended copy tomorrow because it's fucking awesome. But it seemed very odd. Michael Cole throwing to a clip from Batman. Maybe that's just me. Sasha Banks, who's facing Charlotte and Dana Brooke with a mystery opponent, or with a mystery partner rather, at Battleground, has a partner tonight in Becky Lynch. This is why I know who we all think Sasha Banks' partner is going to be, and I have mixed feelings on if it is in fact her. But this is why the Natalya feud is useless, because this is a tag team match that I would like to see on a pay-per-view. But anyway, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch versus Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Sorry, losing my voice on one of the busiest weeks in wrestling. That's always a good plan. Should probably be drinking water instead, for a lot of reasons. Dana and Sasha start, back elbow by Sasha. Dana eats the turnbuckle. Double team throw by Sasha and Becky. Multiple arm drags, hit. My writing sucks this much. Multiple arm drags by Becky leading into an arm bar, working the arm. Becky works the arm some more. Kitchen sink by Dana. Spinning leg drop by Becky. Sasha tags in. She starts working in the arm. Tag team continuity until Natalya decides to remind us that she exists by attacking Becky on the outside, causing a disqualification, taking Becky out of the equation. Charlotte and Dana do a 2-on-1 beatdown on Sasha to end the segment. Somebody on Twitter said, I don't remember who it was, one of my followers, one of people I follow, whatever, said, have they ever given us a real reason why Natalya has been attacking Becky and like why they have an issue and whatever? My response was this: if I'm Natalya, I'm completely irrelevant. Oh look, there's Becky Lynch. She's relevant. So if I attack her, I'll be relevant too, right guys? Right guys? Guys? Oh, maybe not. Because Becky Lynch could be doing better things. Anyways, Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan talk to Kane in the back, and we talk about, the electrocuted nuts between Kane and Shane, and we talk about Team Hell No with Daniel Bryan and Kane, and I really don't care where Kane goes other than away at this point. Dean Ambrose has his response for Seth Rollins' empty arena video. He's got a handy handheld cam. And he does this whole like crazy jerky kind of old school Shield, kind of a little bit Heath Ledger Joker sounding. Basically the same thing. I'm going to walk out of here tonight. I'm going to walk out of Battleground. I'm still going to be the champion. I'm going to fight my enemy, and I'm going to fight my brother, and I'm still going to walk out with the title. It's all good. Like I said, the way they both took different Shield elements and put them into their respective pre-recorded promos, and I'll say the same thing that I said to Seth Rollins' promo earlier, is the fact that sometimes, especially with somebody like Dean Ambrose, you want to get a crowd reaction to what he's saying because they get hyped and they get behind him, and there's that impalpable swell of enthusiasm behind everything he's saying. But when that's gone, when there's dead silence and all you can hear is the person talking, once in a blue moon, as far as a promo goes, that makes it more effective. It makes, when there's more quiet, it makes you listen more, if that makes sense. I really like the way both of these video packages were done tonight. I really do. A lot of people on Twitter will be like, oh yeah, well if they pre-record it, they can practice it 100 times. You don't know, it could have been shit. Well, it wasn't. And some other people that shouldn't be on the microphone, like Darren Young and Charlotte and Dana Brooke and all that, could benefit from some overproduced, pre-recorded promos. Could they not? Rusev and Sheamus squashed Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler, and I have notes for it, but I just don't care. They show a video package on Randy Orton reminding us who Randy Orton is. They remind us that he's going to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. They remind us that he's going to be on the highlight reel with Chris Jericho at Battleground. We see a video package of all the stand-up comedy shtick that Cena did at the ESPY Awards. I don't watch other sports. There's somebody been commenting, I don't remember a name, I'm sorry. Somebody's been commenting on every single video I've done for the past 3 weeks or so. Hey Spaz, do you watch any other sports? The answer is no. So I don't give a fuck about the ESPYs, and John Cena is not enough to make me care about an award show that I don't care about. But the little bit that they showed us seemed like he was very respectful, seemed like he was received very well, seemed like he was very funny, because stand-up comedy is a lot different than, you know, cutting a bad promo in the ring, as I'm sure Dolph Ziggler can attest to a lot of people. But it seems like he did a good job, so for what it's worth, good for him on that. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins for the now just WWE Championship. It's still the belt. The belt hasn't changed. It still says World Heavyweight Championship on it, on Dean Ambrose's belt, but on the graphic it says WWE Champion, which is funny because it goes like... I gotta do some sign language bullshit here, but if you can picture the bottom of the belt that comes like this, the word champion is on one side and WWE is on the other side. It looks very disproportionate. Maybe that's something that only I notice, but it looks really funny when WWE is only 3 letters and championship is like this long, and it doesn't look balanced on the belt. Not only that, but the graphic doesn't look like the belt because they've had to change it from what it was, and I'm pretty sure they've done that on the fly, like in the past 2 weeks. It kinda looks shit. I'm not gonna lie. WWE Championship, Shane, Stephanie, Mick Foley, Daniel Bryan are all at ringside. I wonder if they're gonna get involved. Yeah. Collar and double type is starting a fast counter wrestling sequence. Test of strength and both men work on each other's arms. They do. It's the first several moments of this match. They're very mirror images of each other, which is good. They work together for so long. They know each other, etc., etc., etc. Plus, it adds in that element that you guys know I love, that anything you can do, I can do better shtick. 2 arm drags by Dean Ambrose and mudhole stamps by Rollins. Cross body by Ambrose, boots by Rollins. Ambrose dumps Rollins out. Rollins eats the guardrail on the way out. Clothesline off the apron by Ambrose. He kind of runs the apron like Owens does when he's going to do the cannonball, but he just comes off it with a straight clothesline, which again is a bit different, a little bit simpler. People accuse Dean Ambrose of having a very simple offense, but it works, so I don't see how that's a criticism if it works. Coming back from the first break, we got a beat down by Rollins in the corner, and he stomps on Dean Ambrose's hands. The commentators do well to talk about like what it's like when you pop knuckles, and if you break fingers, they take a long time to heal, etc., etc. Running kick to the spine by Rollins and a choke with a grapevine. Arm drag by Ambrose, mic check into the turnbuckles by Rollins, sling blade by Rollins, and a double cross body spot, and they both go splat. It's good. Chops and punches and knockdowns by Ambrose. Fisherman suplex with a bridge by Ambrose and some more chops. Pin attempt exchange goes on for a couple of moments. Neck breaker by Ambrose. Boot by Rollins. Backdrop by Ambrose. Suicide dive by Ambrose. Ambrose eats the guardrail on the outside pretty fucking hard. Then Rollins sees him hit the guardrail and says, it would be nice if he did that again. Running powerbomb on the outside into the guardrail. Kind of like what he does with the buckle bomb, which we'll talk about later on. But he's got him on the outside. He does basically the buckle bomb into that rounded corner of the guardrail. Nice spot. Puts him back in the ring, hits him with a quick frog splash, which gets a near fall and sends us into the final commercial break of the night. You can't say that they didn't give us long matches tonight. That's a plus. Ambrose head scissors Rollins into the turnbuckles, and Rollins lands so fucking awkwardly. I had one of those moments like Rollins has just come back from an injury. Landing like that could have fucked him up again. I'm not saying like poor Rollins, let's baby him, but landing like that could have fucked him up. Springboard knee strike by Rollins and a frog splash, misses, corner strikes and a boot by Rollins, jabs by Ambrose, buckle bomb by Rollins, but Ambrose bounces out of the buckle bomb to hit a DDT that they call the Dirty Deeds, but it's really not. They do a counter thing where they keep countering from the Dirty Deeds to the pedigree. Headbutt and a clothesline by Ambrose, pedigree by Rollins, rebound clothesline by Ambrose, and the ref gets bumped. Top rope superplex, and they both land, and they both curl into the other. It's a very, very suspicious pin. There's no real announcement made other than Stephanie getting up, hugging Seth Rollins, announcing him as the champion before the ref can really say anything, giving him the belt, and having his music play and having him leave. This was a bullshit finish, and this match, guys, I know we want to see the Shield triple threat because we've been waiting for it forever. I've always said, people hate Roman so much. There's a different contingent of people like Dean Ambrose, people like Seth Rollins. So the money match is these two one-on-one. And this match, although there were a couple of good spots, this match didn't have it. And I hate saying that because I love both of these guys. Hell, if they were a tag team, I'd want them to be champions like yesterday. These guys can do better than this. And I feel like an asshole saying that. This match was slow. The spots were cool, but they were very, very set up, and they were very, very long to set up. Building to the inconclusive finish is always a wonderful thing, I'm sure. The only thing I will say is that they will hold the title up, and they will have a rematch tomorrow night on the first live SmackDown to make live SmackDown feel special, and then have the triple threat match on Sunday. But even that is not the best plan in the world. If they're doing this as a way to say that going into Battleground we have no champion, so all three of these guys are equally fighting for the title, I guess I can buy that, but this match just wasn't nearly what it should have been. I won't say it wasn't terrible, and this is the thing, and I'm losing my voice, so the video's going to be over soon. The match wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't what these guys can do. And that's coming from me personally, and it's coming from, honestly, it's coming from a spot of disappointment for me. It really, really is. Like I say, they hit all the points they needed to hit tonight as far as getting everybody to watch the draft tomorrow. If you didn't know that SmackDown was going live, and that there's a brand extension, and that the draft is happening tomorrow, and that there's a pay-per-view on Sunday, by the way. It did all that as a 3-hour ad for the draft and a slight ad for Battleground. It hit all the marks that it needed to hit, but other than that, you had a tag match in the beginning that we've seen before. You had that clusterfuck 12-man tag that, like I say, could have been a lot worse. They did good with what they had. The women's match was short. I can't believe they made Del Rio job to Darren Young. They broke up the Lucha Dragons to still have them save each other. There was no Titus O'Neil on the show. There was no Naomi on the show, which is good. I don't know. It's not a very, like I say, it's functional, but that's about it. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow has to be better. Tomorrow is the turning of the page in WWE. It is going to be the draft. We are, myself, Christian, and hopefully Guapo. We may not have Guapo, unfortunately, but we'll see. We'll do that as it may. We are going live on this channel 11 o'clock my time tomorrow night. I'm sorry, I'm in the Toronto area, 11 o'clock my time. If you're not in that time zone, you're going to have to figure out what time that is. I'm sorry. We are going live, and we are talking about a lot of stuff tomorrow, guys. We're talking about the results of the draft. We are going to be talking about Battleground. We are going to be talking about SummerSlam. Selfishly, I'm going to be talking about Survivor Series a little bit. We're going to be talking about the Cruiserweight class. We're going to be talking a little NXT. We're going to be talking Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton. We're going to be talking about a fuck ton of stuff tomorrow. I know you guys always come out in droves to... Sorry, I know you guys always come out in droves to support the live streams that I've been doing with the guys the past little while. That's great. Please come. Please participate. Please hit us up in the chat, or I will come up with some sort of creative hashtag. You guys can tweet us on Twitter. Really do hope that you join us tomorrow, because it's not going to be a typical tackle. Like, it would be a lot of fun if it was just the tackle for Battleground, but we've got so much more than Battleground to talk about tomorrow, and I really think that tomorrow night's live stream is going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys are there. I've been plugging the fuck out of it for like 3 weeks, so if you don't know, now you know. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye.